Greetings, gentle listeners, to episode 67 of Lesbian Talk.
Why do you use a voice when you do the intros?
I don't know, I'm pretending to be Marte.
Because you kind of sounded like the Crypt Keeper.
Marte!
Okay, so hello listeners, how are you? Thank you for inviting us into your home to sit next to you. But scooch over because your butt is big.
Sit beside you all day. Yes. Where's it? Oh, this would have been perfect for the Satan pit. Yes, I'm right behind you. Don't look at me!
We're right behind you, listeners, all the time, making noises like that. So how have you been?
I have been alive, except for those brief periods when I was dead.
Well, that's good. Being alive is always good. I've been waiting forever because I did something stupid. And I sent my passport and all of my information to the British consulate for a visa, which apparently means even though I've paid about $500 I'm probably never getting anything back ever.
Yep. So we're still waiting for information. So the visa people, it's pretty much, okay, quick, run, wait, keep waiting. Okay, go, run!
And the terrible thing is there's no way to track the status of my application. They have a third-party company that they contracted with apparently last April, and this is a worldwide customer service company. So what you can do is you can pay the equivalent of about $3 a minute to talk to somebody in like India or Pakistan or Vietnam or something like that who can't really give you any information. Or you can email them, but you can't email them through an address. You can only email them through a form. Or you can pay $10 for a web chat, in which they can't tell you anything.
So, maybe episode 68 will have information?
Well, the next episode will definitely be special, because we'll have just watched the newest Doctor Who episode. The episode after that, like I've been saying at the end every week, probably going to be a best of, because I'll be trans-countrying. Oh no, it will be.
So I will not be able to be childish. I will not be able to be childish.
Haha, I win.
You always win, honey. You defeat me. But what are we talking about this week?
We got some sad stuff to talk about. Some just sad shit happened, and it's happening all over, and I'm going to touch briefly on the worst thing, because, I mean, there's not a lot to say about it, and that shit is getting real and going down in Ferguson, Missouri, which is right outside of St. Louis, where the police shot and killed an unarmed teenager who was African American, and then they were like, no we didn't, everything's fine, shut up. When people started asking, hey, so what's going on with this? Why did this happen? They were like, shut up, also tear gas. And so there were nights of rioting and protesting, and the police going bugfuck because apparently, according to Facebook, they are better armed than a lot of the troops we sent to foreign countries. So now the officer has been named, and the state National Guard the state Highway Patrol has stepped in, and they brought police from other parts of the state to be the police.
Weren't there people claiming that the kid who was killed was like a criminal, and then people found the criminal records and was like, no, this kid was never in trouble with the law, and then people were like, oh, well...
Well, what they're saying is that, somebody who matched his description robbed a convenience store a few hours before that. But the problem with that is that the officer didn't know about the robbery, so the officer wasn't stopping him to question him about a robbery.
Yeah, and then apparently that was released, the claim was released just after the name of the police officer was released, and now this is something that I've read.
It's a clusterfuck, yo.
This is like I've read. This could be inaccurate, this might be accurate then, but not now, that apparently, like, at least one of the witnesses to the shooting has not been talked to by the police. They've not been interviewed.
That's what I saw over Twitter. I saw an e-journalist say, why have I interviewed this witness and the police still haven't? That I can't confirm. That's stuff that no one... It's a bad situation. To say that there's probably wasn't an attempt at a cover-up would be naive. You know, bad shoots happen, and I guess that's part of being a police officer, but this happens so much where, it's a young black kid, shoot first, ask questions later. What? They were on their way to Bible school? Uh-oh. He tried to shoot me. That's it. He was threatening me. That's it, yeah.
You know, at best, it sounds like it's severely fucking dodgy. At best.
It's very fucking dodgy.
Yeah. But we'll wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
But what else are we going to mention?
We have to say goodbye as a world to Robin Williams, who passed away this week of a suicide at age 63.
Yeah.
Which was really shocking because he was the subject of a Twitter death hoax a few years ago. So everybody Googled it and immediately found the article from 2 years ago saying, oh wait, no, it was a hoax. And everyone said, oh wait, he's not dead, it's a hoax. Oh wait, actually that was, oh, okay.
Yeah, no one who, obviously people who didn't know him in person, no one, didn't see it coming because of the method of his death. It's not like he was openly, dealing with illnesses and things.
Well, he had dealt with substance abuse for many, many years. And it was known that he did have problems with depression, and he'd had that for the past few months. And then they discovered that he'd recently been diagnosed with Parkinson's. Yeah. So that puts that in a bit of a more sharper relief.
Yeah, it was surprising. I get the feeling that I was one of the people in the world who was not a massive Robin Williams fan, though he was obviously very talented and he made a lot of people really, really happy. So, I'm sad to see him go. He was an immense talent. But the two films I really remember him for, the ones I'm severely interested in, are his visually striking but not very good films. And
like which one?
I'm talking about Toys and What Dreams May Come.
Toys was good, and I have to confess, the first time I saw Toys, I had a really high fever. And so when I saw Toys, it was a hell of a lot trippier for me probably than for everybody else. But it was very striking as a film.
It's a fascinating film. It's a fascinating and weird film and really visually striking. It looks like René Magritte painting every single frame. It's really, really strikingly made. And
the soundtrack features one of my favorite Tori Amos songs, The Happy Workers. So.
But the thing is, it's even weirder with time. Because, honey, when was the last time you saw it?
Oh, geez. Probably 2004 or 5.
Okay, because I picked up a copy last year on DVD, and we watched it, and that film's about drone warfare.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that part. Spoilers, well, it's your own fault, because the movie's, I think, 20 years old or something now, but, yeah, there's an evil...
Dumbledore 2 is evil.
No, stop it. Yeah, there's part of it is getting kids to play with warlike toys to make them soldiers of the future, which has been, quite honestly, that's been a fear of people for a long time. Oh, video games are just training our children to be uncaring soldiers and stuff like that. But I forgot the fact that they're actually drones.
Yeah, and it's like, holy crap! It's in a really weird way, it's predictive about future warfare. The sort of the dehumanizing effect that drone operation has on people.
And LL Cool J is in it, and he's just awesome.
And what do you call her? What do you call her sister? Joan. She was in the Addams Family Values.
Oh, Joan Cusack?
Yes. She was in it as well.
Yeah.
She was a robot.
An odd robot, but yeah. It's a very surreal movie. I don't recommend you watch it in an altered state, because it's kind of tricky. But.
It also features one of the few live-action appearances in acting of Yardley Smith.
Who the hell is Yardley Smith?
The voice of Lisa Simpson.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, she plays a small role as a scientist in it, and she, unlike everyone else in The Simpsons, she only has one voice, so Lisa sounds like her.
Oh, okay.
She's like this 5'3", black-haired, I think she's either Chinese or Japanese descent woman, and she was around 35 at the time. And it's just, she's speaking as Lisa Simpson, and it's just like, that's another level of the weirdness of the film.
Wow, okay, so that's something to watch when you watch through.
It's well worth a watch, but don't expect it to be amazingly brilliant, but it was a labor of love for Barry Levinson, I believe, who directed it.
I don't know, you know more about directors than me.
Ah.
Well, you know what I really liked, and a lot of people have commented about it. I don't know if you ever watched it. Did you ever see the show he became famous for was Mork and Mindy?
I've seen Mork and Mindy, though not a huge amount of them.
It's like the 70s version of Third Rock from the Sun. And I used to watch it because back when I was a kid, back in the day of Nickelodeon in the olden times, and I may cover this in an episode of What Went Right at one point. At night, Nickelodeon used to switch over to paid programming. It sold its time to infomercials. Until they got not the rights, but they were able to broadcast 24 hours, and I think it was between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. they showed they got syndication rights to really, really, really old stuff, like Car 54, Where Are You, and Dragnet, and all those other old shows, and they called it Nick at Night. And to the point where Nick at Night is now its own separate channel. I think it's called TV Land or something like that. But I used to watch that, really obscure times it was on, and one of the shows they had was Mork and Mindy.
I've seen clips from an episode where they did a meta thing where they had Mork and Mindy meeting Robin Williams.
I vaguely remember something like that.
Yeah, it seemed to be rather cleverly done. Oh, I just remembered a little factoid about toys, which I think you would be interested in particular.
What's that?
Now this is based on something that I'd read a while back, and I have not managed to find any references to it online or anything, so this could be complete bullshit and I could have imagined it, but I'm fairly sure I read this somewhere and it was reputable. But Robin Williams' character in Toys, his visual style was inspired by Old Sixty.
By Colin Baker?
The Sixth Doctor, yes.
That makes me happy.
The blonde hair, the slightly longer than average hair, and the sort of the clash of colours and styles and things in his costuming was apparently inspired by the Sixth Doctor.
That's awesome. We should ask Colin Baker if that's true. If you're Colin Baker, write the show.
But have you ever seen What Dreams May Come?
I haven't. And I was gonna go see it when it first came out, but I don't know. Death depresses me.
It's a really, really visually striking film, like Toys.
Like, that's what everyone said, is that, like, cinematically, it's beautiful.
Narratively, okay. Guy dies, goes to heaven, and the heaven is just like, it's like a painting, and it's really, really cool looking. And it's stunning. And it was all done, if it was done whenever CGI was available, it was very early CGI, probably a couple of years after Jurassic Park or so. Mm-hmm. And, then his wife, commits suicide, and so she gets sent to hell. Now, the afterlife in this universe it cribs a lot of stuff from various religions. It doesn't actually represent any religion particularly.
So it's kind of like a religious average, right?
Yeah. So it's like you commit suicide, you go to hell from Christianity, then you can choose to be reincarnated again, stuff like that. So then the guy, he journeys into hell, a la sort of Dante's Inferno type thing, in order to rescue his wife. And they have some stunning visuals, and even in the hell section, like getting to hell, there's like a ground sort of just, of this massive plain, and it's like after a nuclear holocaust, but it's like full of living heads and faces screaming for help. He's just running through this field of heads. It's so fucking surreal. And then
probably another one you don't want to watch in an altered state.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I'm drawn to Robin Williams' not very good but visually striking films.
Well, the thing is that, I've seen some of his stand-up, and he was just brilliant. I'm told that from so many places on various projects that the scriptwriters would just leave a page blank and just says Robin does his thing.
I believe the first film that did that was, I think Aladdin was the first one that did that, which was really interesting because typically in animation you've got to plan it in ahead, for drawing, so you usually got to script things quite heavily. But with Robin Williams, they were like, just go with what
he'll take care of himself,
Yeah, and then they'll edit what he says into a thing, and then they'll draw it.
I know a lot of people have talked about this, and Nash especially. If you want, he put up on YouTube his whole talk about suicide and depression and being a funny person and stuff like that. I think for us is a lot more poignant for losing Justin this year. Mm. And it was something that we were talking about in a Skype chat, and I said, if someone dies, from a car accident or an illness or, even just like a freak accident, it's easier, but if someone takes their life, you kind of get the feeling of this didn't have to happen. But knowing that he had been given a diagnosis of Parkinson's kind of makes it a little bit easier for me to absorb that. Does that make any kind of sense?
Yeah. With my view on suicide is a little bit, I hate to say this, it's a little bit Roman, in that I don't see anything intrinsically dishonorable or inherently wrong with someone choosing to take their own life.
Well, it's not like inherently wrong, it's just that people miss you.
I know that, and I miss, Justin was a dear friend of mine. I miss him every single day. He was a wonderful person. But I've noticed that my feeling on it is a little bit different from most people in the culture around me, where it's like viewed as, a person who commits suicide has done a terrible thing. Well,
I don't think that morally it's a sin, but I think that, especially as someone who's going to be, majoring in psychology, that someone who is suicidal, that the utmost can be done to get them to a better place.
Well, yeah, things can be done. I just mean that, the idea that, okay, most people we know do not view suicide as a sin, but we are influenced by a heavily Christianized culture, which is probably the basis of, because pre-Christian Europe was mostly okay with suicide. It was just seen as a perfectly natural way out if you felt like it, or you were, forced into it. However, Christian culture influenced the way that our culture is, so now it's seen as a pretty much a universal negative. But my view is that someone should have complete control over when they want their life to end. Ideally, everyone should choose when they die. People die in car accidents, people die of illnesses, and if they don't want to die, that is an absolutely horrible, terrible thing. Someone choosing to end their life because they want to, I think that's a lesser evil than someone dying of a disease they don't want.
Well, in the case of terminal illness, that's a whole different thing altogether. Because I know that there are parts of Europe where you can go to specific hospices, with your family, that they will do a doctor-assisted suicide, and in fact, we saw a documentary about it when I was in college, and it's a chance for the whole family to be there at the moment, with the full acceptance that they have. That's a completely different thing. That's why I'm kind of like, I can now understand a little bit more why he made the choice that he did, but it's still sad. It's his family didn't expect it,
Oh, it's definitely sad. And I'm not denying that it's sad. It's terrible for everyone who loved him and knew him in person. It's absolutely terrible. But however bad it is for the people a suicide victim leave behind, it was far worse for the suicide victim because they were driven to kill themselves. And none of us have. Obviously,
yes, but the pain is no longer their concern. They have passed beyond it.
Yeah,
and left survivors behind. That's why, like when someone dies, they always say the person is survived by blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I realize my view is a little bit unorthodox. I suppose I get a visceral, upset reaction to some people's reaction to suicide. It's like, that they take it, I've seen people react to a suicide as though it's a personal hit on them. And
well, obviously if you didn't know the person, it really can't,
Yeah, but people generally are talking about their friend or whatever, or referring to it as selfish or whatever, and it's like, it really bothers me. I think people...
Well, I think the school of thought behind it being a selfish act is that you are deliberately and knowingly causing pain to people that care about you and that you might care about, regardless of the consequences for the rest of their lives. So I think that's where that comes from.
But if someone if someone's in so much pain that they would rather die, then the people who are wanting them to stay alive to feel that pain, they're causing an even greater selfish act.
Yeah, but let's suppose it's not a terminal illness, because that's a very easy call to make. Let's suppose it's something like, I don't want to say depression, because that brings with it its own kettle of fish, but like blindness or something. Like you're struck with an illness that has made you go blind, and you're fine, and you're not going to die of this illness. It's resolved now, but you are left blind for the rest of your life.
I don't even need to go as far as blindness. I see it as a bodily autonomy thing. So someone should have complete control over the end of their life, ideally.
It should be the way, but in a lot of places it's not. Like, I've heard a lot of but I've heard a lot of, things where, a lot of incidents, what's the word I'm looking for? I've heard a lot of accounts of, someone being brain dead as a result of illness or an accident, having a living will that says, in the event of these conditions, I don't take heroic actions, just let my body die. And people who are the executors of those wills saying, well, I'm not going to do that, and then challenging the will in court.
Yeah, that's absolutely horrible, because it should be the person whose living will it is, this decision. If they want to be kept alive, via machines and stuff, that's fine. Honey,
I'm just going to say this now in front of the entire internet. I don't care if you have to freeze me and bring me back later. Do not ever pull the plug.
That's fine.
You guys heard it? You're going to hold her to that.
If I'm completely mashed beyond being able to have a joyous life, I would rather be dead.
No freezing?
Well, as I understand it...
What if we froze you and the doctor brought you back? That could work.
As I understand it, cryonics can only work if A, the person would be frozen before death, not afterwards, and also the ice crystals would damage the brain in a way.
Oh, hush, we'll figure something out. Don't worry about it.
But I'm pretty sure that this will not actually need to be... I'm sure we have a lot of time to debate the finer parts of this whole thing, over the many years we have together.
I hope so. Because now I'm really worried.
But yeah, this has just turned into us debating suicide, hasn't it?
See, you never know what to expect on Lesbian Talk. But yeah. To close up, I am very sorry to see him go, because he was one of my favorite actors and certainly comedians. You can say there's a million Zooey Deschanel's or, choose any actor or actress that you can, but there was always ever just one Robin Williams.
I'd just like to finish off by saying that there is an internet personality who is not at all connected with Channel Awesome who said something vile and horrible about Justin after he died, about saying that, as a Christian, I know that he is going to suffer in the afterlife, even though I thought he was a really nice and talented guy, he is going to suffer. I fucking hate you, you motherfucker, and I really hope that you have the guts to say this about Mr. Williams, because otherwise you're a fucking hypocrite, and I hope all of your little fans who also loved Robin Williams and didn't give a shit about Justin crucify you figuratively, you motherfucker.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I agree. Because you sound really worked up about it.
You piece of shit. I'm not going to tell you who it is. I'll tell you, honey, off screen, but it's probably someone you know I've heard of.
Off screen?
Off recording.
Off listening.
Yes, it's... Sorry, this really, really bothers me, this idea that there is something just in the idea of a god who would punish you for committing suicide. It's like, as though suicide... just the idea that suicide should be a sin is horrific to me. It's... In early Christianity, it wasn't even a sin. This was brought in by the early church.
Well, I'll say this, because...
too many people were killing themselves to get to heaven.
That's true. Oh, yeah. Shit. We done goofed. Well, I will say this, and we'll end out with this, that I think that even the church is softening on that, because, about 10 years ago now, my cousin had been diagnosed with one of the chronic pain disorders, and he was going to go see a specialist, but then I get a call at work from my mother that he shot himself. And the whole family is Catholic-ish, like that kind of like old country, we're still Catholic probably, but no one really bothers that much. And so he was buried in a Catholic cemetery, and there was a priest that spoke at his funeral, which surprised me, because I was like, I thought it was a sin, but alright, I'll go with that. It was a very nice ceremony. Now, unfortunately, the priest didn't know him, so rather than talk about his life, he just decided to talk about Jesus the whole time, and I was kind of like, But,
I'd just like to say that, we didn't talk about Justin's suicide particularly after it happened, unless, we mentioned it, I'm pretty sure, but we didn't really
we did for it. We had a small mention of it, because...
Yeah, we didn't really go into it, so this is sort of bleeding over from that. And I didn't know Robin Williams. He was very, very talented. Obviously, most of the people who are sad right now didn't know him. His family are obviously even way more sad. And I just like to say that much more than a guy who is talented and much more than his loss, I miss Justin.
Yeah.
And I wish he had not made that choice.
Me too.
Sorry, I'm about to cry.
Don't cry. I love you. Well, so anyway, now it's time for everyone except me's favorite part of the show, One Time at the Store. So if this is the first time you've listened to our show, you should know that I have spent the past over 10 years working for a large chain bookstore. I've been there, I've done it, I've seen it all, although this is not one of those stories. So yesterday, it was probably my last shift at the store, because I don't know what's going on with the visa, so I told the scheduling manager, just don't schedule me for the next 2 weeks. Call me if you have a call out and I'll come in, but just don't have me on the schedule. So, now this is not something that I personally witnessed, but I was talking with our store manager before I left yesterday, and he told me something that happened last week. And apparently, the MOD the manager on duty had to call him at home about this, that we had a customer who had two autistic children, who were teens, and I don't remember what the age of the youngest, but the oldest was 17. So she brought them to our bookstore and then went and left them, and she went to Bed Bath & Beyond, which is across the complex. And so we didn't know that there were 2 special needs teenagers that had kind of been abandoned in our store. We only found this out when she came back and could only find one of them.
One of them? What will they do now?
Well, what we did actually was we enacted Code Adam, and I'm not sure if they have the same thing in the UK, but Code Adam is based on, I forget the kid's last name, but it was Adam something or other, and his father was the one who went on to do Unsolved Mysteries, and he went missing in a shopping center, and the response is that the response that you should take is named after him. If a child's guardian comes to us and says, I can't find my son or daughter, they're missing, they were just here and now they're gone, then what happens is someone calls the manager, we ask for a description of the child, what color their shoes are, because a lot of times, you know, if someone's snatching a kid, they won't have time to change the kid's shoes. You know, they'll just throw an overcoat over them, or color their hair is, what name they'll answer to. We take that information, and then we go over the PA system, we say, Code Adam, we give the description, and then every employee in the store fans out to search the store. If we can't find the child within 5 minutes, we lock down the store. If we can't find the child in another 10 minutes, another 5 minutes, we automatically call the police. So what ended up happening is we called the police, but the police had already found the child. He was wandering up by Walmart, which was about a half-mile away, through a busy shopping complex.
And so he didn't actually leave the shopping complex? Or
he didn't leave
the
shopping complex, the shops where I work is huge. Like, there's a Bed Bath & Beyond, there's a Walmart, there's a Sam's Club, there's, you know, just, it's really big. So he was the equivalent of at the other side of the neighborhood, let's say that. And a 17-year-old, okay, whatever, but he's a special needs 17-year-old. He could have been hit by a car like that.
Yeah.
And I was so shocked. And the other manager who was sitting in the office said, oh, that's right, you weren't here when we had the baby incident. And I said, what's the baby incident?
Sounds stunning.
Apparently, and this I can kind of understand. There was a new couple, and the baby was, I think, like 1 or 2 months old, and they had him in the little child carry chair, and they were in the store in the children's department, and each thought that the other had him, so he ended up in his chair, abandoned in the children's department. And the problem was that legally the manager couldn't just give him back to the people who said, oh wait, that's our baby. She had to call the police, and the police ended up ticketing them, which is unfortunate because in their circumstance I can understand it, but
at least they got their baby back.
Yeah.
They got their baby back ribs.
I knew you were going to say that. So what a wonderful thing. Now, I'm not going to stop doing the story from the store because God knows I've got a million of them. But anyway, honey, what did we watch this week?
We watched our Matt Smith episode because next time we're going to have Peter Capaldi starting. So we watched The Girl Who Waited, which was chosen because it's one of Matt Smith's good ones. It's going to eventually feature in my Amanda Hagan's list of episodes of New Who that aren't shit.
And you can quote her on that.
Yep, I'm going to call it something like that. Because everyone thinks I think New Who is shit. It's often shit. There are good episodes, and obviously I'm going to have problems with every single episode in it, but that doesn't mean I think that they're all shit. It just means I'm a classic Who fan, and I can bitch about stuff.
Now, I'll do the synopsis for this one. Basically, It's the TARDIS with the Doctor and Rory and Amy, and they land at this planet that's supposed to be really awesome, except the Doctor has landed them into a quarantine facility because at this current point in time they're being ravaged by a plague. But the good news is that humans are immune to this plague. Yay, bad news is that Time Lords aren't. Boo. So they go into this facility, and Amy ends up getting separated from Rory and the Doctor and ends up in a different time stream because the way this works is this plague is so virulent it kills you in a day. But it's a quote-unquote a kindness facility, so kind of like hospice, set up so you can go and visit with your loved one in a separate time stream and be there for the rest of the, as they die, the time is compressed for them. In about a minute for Rory and the Doctor, Amy's lived a whole week. And so the question is, how are they going to get her out?
Yes. And did you notice that it was inspired by Terror of the Vervains? The big inspiration, apparently how it began, the idea was the robots with the hands. Sort of the friendly robots the friendly aliens that will kill you with their hands. And,
well, they wouldn't really kill you. They were basically the reason that the robots were after her was she had unregistered bacteria. But they couldn't give her medical shots because obviously she's a human, they would kill her. So they weren't really trying to kill her. They were trying to help her, but
Yeah. But they were inspired by the Vervains because the Vervains would sort of use their hands and stuff to do things.
I can see that.
So that was the basic inspiration.
And actually, this was pretty good of an episode. I had some scientific issues, but then that's just me.
Well, yeah, it's Doctor Who that happens. Such as the two time streams, unless the time streams sort of sync up for the times they're talking to each other in the viewing spheres, it doesn't really work.
Well, no, I think that's what that thing is. The viewing sphere is the thing that syncs up the time.
Okay. Oh yeah, well that would make sense. That's one of my issues gone.
Ta-da!
The thing I loved about this one, okay, because spoiler alert,
Spoilers.
Amy gets left there for 36 years.
She's left behind. She's not really left behind. She's kind of like time. They mess up the time, and yeah.
Yeah, she gets stuck there, and it's handled pretty well. Although she really shouldn't be able to speak English after that.
Why?
Because she's by herself. And,
she can talk to the interface. Remember, and the interface speaks English.
The interface is not going to have that much to tell her, for 36 years. She's eventually going to stop talking.
Yeah, but it's not like the language center of your brain doesn't work that way. I mean, her voice might sound croaky from an atrophied, but you just don't stop language. It's too integral to the brain's function. No, You're still thinking in English.
If you stop saying stuff, then it's like any muscle.
It's not. You can't forget language. That's not how that works.
Well, then, please...
If you're a linguist, comment and tell everyone why I'm right.
Well, please then explain that to people who are taken away from their usual language and put into a situation, into a country or something where no one else speaks that language.
That's a different matter. It's not that no one is speaking, it's that no one is speaking their language. Again, if you're a linguist, comment when this goes up and take a thing and tell everyone why I'm right.
Okay, I figure the situation is similar enough that it would have a similar reaction. No, well, she's just like, oh, look, I'm maybe, but I'm old, but I can talk perfectly fine.
Well, the aging makeup looked good. And she's like...
Although her hair was still red.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, she didn't go gray at all, but whatever.
Yeah, they should have given her a shorter grayish red wig.
But, so, pretty much, I like this episode because it's not a happy ending. And yes, the power of love compels you did win in the end, but it wasn't the reason that they won. The science was the reason that they won.
I would say the power of love didn't compel them to win. They set it up like they were going to use the power of love to win, and it would really annoy us. But then they did the complete 180, and the Doctor locks older Amy out of the TARDIS, and she's like, because there's younger Amy, there's older Amy, and they're gonna get into the TARDIS, and they're gonna get away. It's gonna be okay, and they're gonna fuck the paradoxes. But then the Doctor locks her out there to die with the robots, and they just run off because she doesn't exist anymore because Amy escaped, and it's just like, yes, that's pragmatic. Fuck power of love. You set up the people who watch New Who to expect the happy ending, and then you didn't give it. Good work.
Well, the thing is that I had a problem with this. I mean, because I was like, oh shit, that's gonna be hella paradox, because Rose and Rose in the first season of New Who made eye contact and caused a paradox so bad it ripped open the fabric of reality, made a pocket dimension, and spawned paradox beasts. And then Amy and Amy are hanging out, and the TARDIS blows a fuse, and that's it.
That's it. That's the episode Father's Day you're talking about, isn't it?
What? Yeah.
Okay.
The problem happens when she sees herself. And he's like, oh no, you've caused a paradox.
I thought it was when they touched.
No, it was when they saw each other.
Okay,
because they're standing in the alley.
If you wrote Father's Day, write the show.
That's my thing. That's right. But, I mean, I thought it was good. I like...
I'm pretty sure they touched in this anyway, so the problem with the continuity thing it still applies.
Or maybe, I guess you could say that after Father's Day, the Doctor was like, you know what? Companions these days just don't listen like they did in the 60s. We're gonna have all sorts of problems, so I better fortify the TARDIS for paradoxes. I don't know. I mean, I could see saying that, but I don't know.
Well, the Master turned it into a paradox machine in the 3rd season.
Yeah, there's that.
It's also entirely possible.
Wouldn't it be really great if he popped up right at the end, right as old Amy's dying? It was me, the Master, the whole time.
I wasn't doing anything, but I was totally there.
I was totally hanging out, just watching. I get off on watching. I'm the Master.
Well, the thing with Father's Day was originally not supposed to have any monsters. It was like Inferno with John Pertwee. It was supposed to be
we need something important. Quick CGI Paradox piece.
Well, basically, yeah, the guys went, this is a really good script and a good concept, but we need a monster for the kids to be scared of, because otherwise it's just, too
What are you
nebulous.
scared of, children? The finality of time.
And so they added these things, and it works better. Okay, in Father's Day it's a little bit more seamless, even though it still doesn't make much sense. However, in Inferno, it's really obvious that the Primords, the fucking blue ape werewolves you get turned into if this, crazy gunk from the center of the earth touches you, that they clearly should not be in the story. One of the worst looking monsters in a great Doctor Who story ever. But in Father's Day it's a little bit more seamless.
Yeah, although it supports my theory that Amy and Rory were always destined for a bad end anyway, because they have fucked their own time stream so much.
Plus, Amy totally needed to become blue and shaven-headed. Yeah, that was a Guardians of the Galaxy reference, honey. I know you haven't seen it yet.
I'll get around to it.
She's in it, and she has, swords, and she gets blown up by a rocket launcher, but then she puts herself back together again using cyborg powers.
Well, maybe we'll see. But, so yeah. I mean, I thought it was a good episode.
Yeah, the girl who waited
originally I thought that the girl who waited was talking about how she was, saw the Doctor as a kid and waited for him. So I guess it's like a double kind of.
Yeah, although I really think they should have called it Rorys Choice, because in the season 5 or season 6, one of the earlier seasons, season 5, there was Amy's Choice, which was about Amy choosing which one of these is real and which is not real, and then it turns out neither of them are real. Ha ha ha. And so this one, it's a little bit like that, because it's like, Rory, do you want old Amy or do you want hot young Amy? Well, it's pretty obvious which one he's going to choose. Pretty
much. And it's terrible because she's like, hey, Doctor, what are you doing? And he's like, I got shit to do. And then, when the last line is Amy's like, well, where is she? And, the Doctor's like, I have to go clean the TARDIS filters, so I'll leave you guys. You can explain that one, Roy. Have fun.
But New Who season 6, okay, Matt Smith season 6 gets a lot of flack, and I'm going to say this now, although A Christmas Carol, the Christmas special between 5 and 6, is officially the point where I think Matt Smith's Doctor took a nosedive as a character. He basically went from being the love child of 2 and 6 and being all doctors and interesting with his particular style to being an over-stylized, zanier David Tennant wannabe fuckwit. And however, season 6 generally is a strong season, and there's not that many really, 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 really terrible episodes. Most of the episodes are very strong, and I feel the same way about season 7. It's got a lack of incredibly bad episodes, but it's got 7's very few really good episodes, very few really bad ones, so it's got a lot of mediocre and fairly okay. But season 6, it had an amazing run of really good episodes, and the horrible one in there was A Good Man Goes to Fucking War.
I've heard
episode.
You bitch about that a million times.
That's going to be the first of my new set of Toddy Who reviews when I finish the quick guide. I'm going to whine like no one's ever whined before.
With an extra H for emphasis.
Whine! I'm being like Sylvester McCoy.
But yeah, all in all, I thought it was a really good episode. Pretty creepy, although it must have been easy for them. They didn't have any extras.
Yeah, they just had the robot guys who were like,
Although I do kind of one of the things that was kind of depressing about it was at the end when old Amy realizes, well, fuck this noise, I'm gonna have to sacrifice for everybody, I guess. And she's like, interface, show me Earth. And she's like, here's Earth, Amy Pond, look at it. And then the robot's like, we are only doing you a kindness, hold still. And I was like, oh, that kind of is sad, because they are doing her a kindness because she's about to not oh, boo.
And they're all like, show me Earth, and he's like, oh man, I don't want to die looking at Mongolia or United States. Show me Scotland, and then you're like, oh, flower of Scotland.
Although I do I'm assuming it was a fake. Stop that. Another thing that I thought was funny was there's a part where they're in this gallery and Rory takes the Mona Lisa and brains a robot with it. I thought that was kind of cool.
That Mona Lisa, which is so clearly not the original Mona Lisa because it's 5 times bigger.
But I thought it was a good episode, so that's what I have to say about that.
It was a strong one, and like the God Complex next episode, it was a good, that was a good double feature of Doctor Who episodes. Sometimes you just get really good episodes back to back, and it's like...
Although this is a good reason why you should not have hospice facilities that are unstaffed by things that aren't robots, like organic people. Because this was another episode where just talking to one person would have sorted everything out. You see, I've pressed the wrong button, I'm a human, and I can't get this disease. Oh, So sorry about that. Here, let me direct you to the exit.
Yeah, there should be something, because apparently there's like an entire like 40,000 people in this facility in different time streams, so surely there must be some sort of operator. Why can't the Encarta machine that she was talking to, like, you know, talk to an operator? Is there no way to do it?
Press pound to not die.
What if they get like locked in the toilet or something?
You know what, you have to die in the bathroom for all eternity. They probably have the same customer service system that the UK consulate uses. So she would have had to pay £1.50 a minute to talk to somebody.
That's better than being stabbed by a fucking robot after spending 36 years hanging around and going, I fucking hate you, Doctor.
Well, the one thing, she made her own armor and, like, you know, made a sonic screwdriver. But where did she get the samurai sword? You can't just kind of forge that. Was Hattori Hanzo, like, also, you know, dying on that planet at the same time?
See, I'm more annoyed about her making this sonic screwdriver, because there was other zones there, like Museum Zone and like a roller coaster zone, so she probably stole...
And there was Mystic Cave Zone and Green Hill Zone. Yeah,
she probably stole the sword.
You didn't get that at all, did you?
Oh, there was a Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, okay.
Because that's like a sonic screwdriver, the Hedgehog.
Psh. So well, no, I guess she could have, you know, learned quantum theory from the machine, from the, you know, the robot. And...
Yeah, but it's still... You know, samurai swords are really complicated to make and forge and stuff, but I get the feeling like a sound device which has an infinite amount of settings and stuff and can scan and can recreate barbed wire and stuff, you know, just by using a light on it. I got the feeling that might be a little bit more advanced.
She went to the cinema one and she watched old episodes.
Okay.
Doctor, I know all your secrets. I've watched all the seasons.
I watched Fury from the Deep. And it's really lucky because that doesn't exist in the real world anymore. And it was the first appearance of the Sonic Screwdriver.
I'm sorry, Doctor. I've been watching Diamanda Hagen's Guide to Classic Who. I tried for a Scottish accent there. It didn't really happen.
Doctor, can you take me back in time to meet Jamie? He's all attractive and stuff. I'm like a foot taller than him. It would be a great match.
Rory's all English. He's like, oh, I'm going to go update my MySpace.
Oh, she wants to have sex with Jamie.
So, I can't say what are we going to watch next week, because we damn well know what we're going to watch next week.
Yeah, we're going to watch Deep Breath, which neither of us have seen.
So, here's the thing. I am going to cheat and use my VPN, but we're going to try to record this as soon as we can, and I'm going to try to have it up by Saturday night. So, this is your warning now. There will be spoilers.
Yeah.
Don't bitch. If there are spoilers, we're going to put it up, like, within a few hours. It's going to everything spoiled ever.
And given the episode is double length, and given and how excitable we are about, you know, we know nothing about the new episode. I hear some guy called Peter Capaldi is the Doctor or something. We're going to have a lot to discuss, so we might actually just do a full episode.
Yeah, we might not even talk about any actual topics. You know, we might just be like, fuck everything Doctor Who.
Yeah, I know so little about this. I hear like there's an intro and maybe there's some music that goes, ooh, but that's all, you know, maybe the TARDIS is red, who knows?
Are you done?
Yes, I know nothing about season 8.
She said lyingly.
It was me, the Missy, the whole time.
It was me, the master. I was Stephen Moffat the whole time and you'd never guessed.
You notice how Stephen Moffat cast the new guy as the Doctor, and he's like, I got an idea, the Doctor should be this thin-ish, Scottish, abrasive guy with curly hair who's in his mid-50s.
Yeah.
But Stephen Moffat cast himself as the Doctor.
Oh, I've never... I don't know who Stephen Moffat, we don't hang out.
Stephen Moffat is all of those things.
But anyway, hold on. So it is now time for his favorite part of the show, the part of the show we couldn't get rid of even though we tried, Giovanni's trivia question. And Giovanni, how are you doing today?
Hey boss, here I am. I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing out there in Radioland?
We're all blown up.
Well, that sucks for you, doesn't it?
It's Northern Irish. Oh, by the way, Giovanni.
Yes?
I have got your discarded carapace over here. It was sent to me in a box, and I was all like, Robin the Minion, check this out. It was like, wow, my God, I can clone Giovanni.
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, but that's pretty usual for you anyway, so.
Yeah.
So anyway, like I predicted, because apparently I'm a clairvoyant lobster, Sir Cork is my favorite mammal this week because he was the first German to tell me that the word Pez, like Pez dispenser, comes from the German word for peppermint. And I'm not going to try to pronounce it because it's got a million fucking syllables, so Google it.
But it just sounds like peppermint but deeply angry.
It's like Perspiration Rocker. Spell. Schwitz. So anyway, Mr. Cork, you did it again, but I don't think you're going to get this one. So, today's question is, you know jaywalking. You always hear, oh, such and such, I saw him, he was jaywalking, he's a jaywalker. Where does that phrase come from? What's it slang for? When you hear this episode go up on Blip, be the first person to tweet at the Omega Geek. That's at the Omega Geek. No Alta Vista, no Bing. Just kidding. Bing's not a real search engine, we all know that. No Google. If you know it, tweet at the Omega, and you're my favorite one for next week.
This is really, really upsetting for Europeans, because we don't have a concept of jaywalking particularly. At least, definitely not in the UK. It's like, we can walk across the fucking road whenever we like, and we might get hit by a car, but we know that the moral victory is ours, because, the car driver will probably get yelled at,
so
even if we're dead.
I just gave you, a limbs up. But anyway, I will see y'all later, my joint radio public.
Well, there you go. So, that's been us for this week. It's been episode 67 of Lesbian Talk. I have been the Omega, and who'd you have want to have been?
I have been Omega has a sexy voice.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I think that I do.
Now it's Elvis.
Shut up. I'm still sexy.
I love you, honey.